One of the most frequently asked questions, but besides, when is my matrix, how long is it going to take, or how fast is it going to take for my matrix to fill? Outside of that one, that's probably like the number one, which it's a variety of factors, folks. So it depends on you. It depends on you. How many expiring tripler did you have? How filled did that matrix come from tripler feeder, tripler restart? Do you have any referrals that buy any new matrices? Every third one that they buy goes into your existing matrix, and so on and so on. It's a variety of factors. But probably the second most asked question is, what does it mean when I get a matrix when I am my own upline? Everybody since restart, a lot of people are getting those type of matrices of what I call upline matrices, and all the upline matrix is when you are your own upline. See this? See this right here? Upline. Upline, and obviously this person rain hold. See right here on this line, upline, upline. See that? Upline. Now it's one of the most frequently asked questions. Now let's play a little game here. I like to have a little bit of fun to make you guys think. Just been paid. The Synergy Surf is a huge matrix system. It's a huge matrix. What you see in your back office and my back office is nothing. It's small potatoes to the entire adjustment paid matrix. What's really in adjustment paid back office is massive. It is really, really massive. To handle all these matrices, all these members matrices, it has to be massive. So most of the matrices that you get, somebody else is going to be your upline, right? Most of the matrices that you get, somebody else is going to be your upline. So what does that mean? Well, obviously, if somebody else is your upline, that means a few spots in your matrix is going to affect a few spots in theirs. And then a few spots in theirs is going to affect a few spots in yours. That's how somebody else can buy a placement and it affects your matrix. That's how somebody else can buy a premium in your matrix. Because obviously you guys, intertwine with each other. Okay, so most matrices, somebody else is going to be the upline, right? And a few spots in your matrix is going to affect a few spots in theirs, and a few spots in theirs is going to affect a few spots in yours. So now, take in what I said. Let that light bulb go off. If that's true, what you just said, Snoop, which it is, well, obviously that must mean if I am my own upline in my matrix, I must affect two different matrices of your own. That's right. When you are your own upline, you affect two different matrices of your own. And when you see matter of fact, when you see an upline matrix, when you are your own upline, look at that as $20 savings. Look at that as $20 savings. This guy that I looked into his account last conference call, I think he had like $300 or $400 in savings, in upline matrix savings, and obviously the golden matrix savings too. Now the question is, the key is, well, what, Snoop? That's awesome. That's great. I love that. I can save $20. I got a bunch of those matrices, Snoop. So where do I save the $20? Well, in every single upline matrix, every single one, the first two positions, when you fill the first two positions, they will also fill two other positions in another matrix at the same time. At the same time. Let me repeat that. When you are your own upline, when you get a matrix where you are your own upline, how do you save $20? The first two spots in that matrix will also fill two other spots in another matrix. Thus, that's a placement and premium placement in that other matrix that you don't have to buy. That's how you save $20. Now you might say, well, what spots will it affect in the other matrix? You don't know that. It falls, remember, this is a massive matrix system, so it can fall in sometimes it affects the fifth and the sixth in another matrix. Sometimes it affects the third and the fourth in another matrix. You just don't know, but that doesn't really matter. All you care about is that I'm going to save $20. Every time I see upline matrix, that means I'm going to save $20 and fill two other spots in another matrix. So you affect two different matrices at one time, which is great, 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 great. But if you think that's great, which it is, especially for those, if you're on a budget or if you have a low account, I consider a low account 3 pages or less. It used to be 1 page or less, but now that they only list 10 at a time. I'm going to say 3 pages now. 3 pages or less of almost empty matrices. I consider that a little, a little account. You're on a budget, This is a great way to fill more positions with the least amount of money because you save $20 per matrix. But if you think that's awesome, now this next matrix that I'm about to tell you about is less frequent now. It's not as frequent as the upline. A lot of people are seeing those upline matrices, which is great. People are saving $20 left and right, and you ought to focus on those. You got an upline matrix in your account, you ought to focus on those first before any of them, all right? But the next one, if you think that's awesome, now I'm about to save you $40. $40. Okay, here we go. When you get a matrix from Tripler Fee or Tripler Restart, and your name and email is in the first two spots, it comes like that. The first two spots. Did you know that the next 4 spots in that matrix will also fill 4 other spots in 2 other matrices? Not 4 apiece now, 4 all together. But that's still great because you save $40. Now let me repeat it again. Here we go. When you receive a matrix, Tripler Feed, Tripler Restart, however you got the matrix, and that matrix is filled with your name and email in the first 2 spots, the next 4 spots will fill 4 other spots in 2 other matrices. Not 4 apiece. I would love for it to do that, but unfortunately it doesn't. Not 4 apiece, 4 all together, but you still save $40, which means the 3rd and 4th spot in this matrix right here will fill 2 other spots in another matrix. And the 5th and 6th spots in this matrix will also fill 2 other spots in another matrix. So you're affecting 3 different matrices at one time. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? 3 different matrices at one time, saving yourself $40. A small recap. Upline matrix, you save $20 when you fill the first 2 spots, okay? Because they also fill 2 other spots in another matrix. How you save $40? When you get a matrix, when your name and email is in the first 2 spots, I advise you to immediately go buy placements and premium placements in that matrix. Whenever you got a golden matrix, I advise you to immediately go buy placements and premium placements in that matrix. And some of you ask, well, in the golden matrix, Snoop, do we have to be our own upline in the golden matrix? No. Every golden matrix that you get, you will not be your own upline. But guess what? All you care about is your name and email being in the first 2 spots. As long as that's happening, you can still save $40. Okay? You can still save $40. But anyways, with the placement loans, some of you asked about the placement loans that are new. What is the placement? A lot of you, every day, as your account gets bigger, obviously you're going to have a hard time buying placements for the first 2 spots in every matrix, right? Well, the system automatically, if you don't buy a placement in a particular matrix that you got from Tripler Feed, Tripler Restart, or if you bought it new, within 30 days, the system will automatically place a placement loan on that matrix. Now, if you got money in your Synergy Surf account, don't go scrambling, don't go panicking like, oh my God, they're going to take money out of my account. No, that's not what they do. They wait till you cycle that particular matrix. Then they deduct that money from your cycle funds. For example, instead of getting $60 when you cycle a matrix, you'll get $55 if it's a $5 placement loan on. If you got a $10 placement loan, obviously instead of getting $60, you'll get $50. Okay. And another great thing is how they make the system even more fair. If you fill your own placement with your triplers or from one of your referrals, they'll give you a $5 refund on your placement purchase. How awesome is that? Isn't that fair? That's great, isn't it? If you fill your own placement with your expiring triplers or one of your referrals, like mine, Gemmo, he buys matrices. God bless, he helps me cycle faster. If one of your referrals buys a new one, and I'm gonna make a distinction about that in a few seconds. If one of your referrals buys a new one, or if you fill your own placement with your expiring tripler, see this right here? He'll get a refund. If he fills these with his expiring triplet, which is awesome. Now, another question that people ask is, will my referrals help me cycle? Will my referrals expiring tripler help you cycle matrices? No. Now, I'm going to make the distinction. Your referrals do help you cycle, but they have to be under a certain circumstance. But your referrals expiring tripler do not at all help you cycle. And that's, that's a good thing. I know some of y'all are like, oh, come on, I wish they could, but no, because it would make it, for people that got large amount of referrals, once again, it would make the system unbalanced. It would really make the people like me that I built up my referrals. I didn't start off with a lot of referrals. I built that up over the years, over 2 years. But now it'll make the system unfair for people like me. It would make the system really unbalanced. If just think about it. Just think of if our referrals help us go into our own matrices. I mean, you talk about the haves and the have-nots. It would really make the system unbalanced. So just be thankful that it doesn't. Because remember, 50% of our expiring tripler goes into our own matrices, and the other half goes into other people's matrices, which is another great way to make the system fair and balanced. I like that. But let me make the distinction. Your referrals, how do your referrals help you cycle? When every third one they buy, new, it has to be new now. For every new matrix that they buy, new, every third one goes into your existing matrix. So the first, the third, the sixth, the ninth, the 12th, the 15th, 18th, 21, 24, 27, 30, so on and so on and so on. Every third one they buy goes into your matrix. Okay, so that's how they do help you cycle. They have to buy them new. What's the most that we need to spend in order to get them? Hands, I wouldn't recommend you spend over 20, to be honest with you. You can, but only under certain circumstances. This is what I recommend you spend over 20 for. Obviously, the upline matrices, it's okay if you want to do it in that, because you save yourself 20 in another matrix. But if you get a golden one, if you get a golden matrix, then you definitely need to spend over $20, because obviously you're gonna need to spend 40 to fill out the rest, because that's because you saved $40 in some other matrices. So I would definitely recommend that. And also, and here's another case where I recommend that you may need to spend over 20. Let's say you already spent your $20 in the matrix, but as your matrix continues to fill out, somebody else bought a placement in your matrix. Now, if you've been in here a couple times, I recommend do not leave open premiums in your matrix. Then you go ahead and upgrade that placement. Don't wait for them. Don't try to email and coax them. Don't waste time. Get aggressive with your own account. Worry about your own self. And so if somebody buys a placement in your matrix, then you go ahead and upgrade it, because it's affecting you. So even though you might have already spent 20, you might have already bought placements and premium placements on the first 2 spots, or the 4th and the 6th, or whatever, wherever you spent the 20, but somebody, as your matrix continues to fill out, somebody else bought a placement in your matrix, which is there in their matrix too, but you see it as a placement in yours. But obviously, go and upgrade it. I did buy premiums. Do I have to upgrade? Yes. Yes, Gwenda, I recommend you do now, because, placements, they take, unless you got a bunch of expiring triplet, that placement's never going to get filled, Gwenda. If you buy them, you might as well upgrade them. You buy them, you might as well. I had my first 7 triplets expire today. How my first? Probably in a day or two, Sharon. Probably in a day or two, okay? How would you know what the need to upgrade or leave the rest for your others? If it's in your matrix, then you need to upgrade it. Don't worry. I don't do this thing about emailing other people trying to get them to upgrade placements in my matrix. Just do it yourself. Worry about your own. My philosophy: worry about yourself. Worry about your own account, your own money. Yes, you're gonna spend. If you see the placement. And I'm seeing a upline matrix right here in it. What you mean? How you could tell? If it's in your matrix, that's how you could tell. Yeah, that's right, Stacy. If you see it, then buy it.